let's take a look as we jump into our opening matchup, joining it just a moment behind. And yeah, okay, you know what, Jackson? I said the same thing. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, for a second, since we joined late, I thought he played Minion Horde Bridge first play, but looks like what we've missed is a minor wall breakers push left the lane. He defended with Minion Horde, and then Arden then defending that with the Mighty Miner. This is interesting. Minion Horde is something we haven't seen in Clash Royale League in a very long time, maybe ever. But as we know, minions did get a buff, a range buff recently. And they're honestly really, really, really strong, despite the fact that Furnace is really ramped meta. So that goes to show like how strong they are even more. But Adriel decided to go for double minions here, which I feel like could be like an insane like play. It could end up getting a little wild with some minions on the tower here and there. But at the same time, it is a card that if Arden plays perfectly, he should be able to control with the Mighty Miner, with the Tesla. The Evo is important, but also the Evo wall breakers should do a good job for controlling the minions in the minion horde here.
First 90 seconds away, and Arden now with the Evo wall breakers behind, mortar high to hold, Tesla to prevent any sort of mortar lock will do its job fine. And Adriel, let's see if he sets up in the back here and uses this elixir advantage to create something. And he will. He'll send some minions in the back, kind of the best option that he has. They should still maybe interact with that Tesla. Miner goes and picks up the Tesla aggro. And now Poison to clear the defensive minions. And he's not going to get one on tower, but you see Arden had to get that Mighty Miner out, maybe in a less than ideal situation.
Yeah, definitely. Minions dropping up high, gonna force the Mighty Miner ability. Miner poison left hand lane. Deciding to switch lanes here. I don't know if I agree with that. A lot of times you do want to go same lane as Siege decks. Siege meaning Mortar or Expo, because here comes the Mortar, and a lot of the time you do want to poison the tower plus Mortar.
Boy.
And he's low in elixir. Wait, Evo Mortar might just lock. Okay, he does get the Mighty Miner down in time.
And for a second, that's what I was talking about. That's why I said, oh boy there, Jackson. It was, it looked for a second like the Miner might walk close enough. And this is a couple of times now where this deck out of Adriel has forced Arden to make funky plays, right? The Mighty Miner now used a couple of times for kind of funky pickups, especially that just stopping that one swipe from a minion. But look at the results of this still. Adriel up by about 300 and change, a little under 300 HP. Miner now will go ahead and start lowering the gap. But it's still this kind of harassment that Adriel is able to create is significant.
Yeah, so really interesting macro here. See, as Arden just realizes that he needs to go same lane, starts attacking the right, but then Adriel, the Furnace on the left, getting one down and cycling to the Evo Furnace as well. And since Arden does not have the Cannoneer, he has the Princess Tower, he's really struggling to defend. And now Adriel with the Mortar Evo. So we have Evo Furnace, another Furnace, a Mortar Evo on the board, and Adriel, you can see him, that's the most emotion you'll see from Adriel. A little bit of a eyebrow raise, a little bit confused on how in the world Arden was able to defend here, but he's still up damage, Miner poisoning inbound, and we're heading into triplicks or overtime here, Rich. And one wallbreaker connects, this is going to be a fairly even match here.
859 to 1159, so just a few hundred HP separating these two. Miner goes to the inside, Wallbreaker picks up, but the Miner does retarget to the tower. That is a huge retarget that happens. Down to under 500 HP on the right-hand lane is Arden with the Poison. Poison now working opposite direction, 30 seconds left. You see Arden giving the sigh there, or Adriel, Arden giving the sigh, knowing that he finally got overwhelmed.
I think if Arden just brings out a deck that's solid and fairly unpredictable, he should be able to be in a pretty solid situation.
And now looking back at it, the Minion Horde was played twice overall in that game by Adriel. But still doesn't matter. Got the win either way, and here goes a man after your heart, Electro Giant. a little beat down here for Arden Toas in game 2.
Lightning gonna drop, but the cannon pulling that over. The Spear Empress is gonna stay alive. You can see once again Arden just like wearing his emotions on his shoulder here, and Yeah, Spear Emperor's going to get a hit. This is definitely not the start he wanted. That 1 HP cannon really throwing a wrench in his plans, but you know, there's still a lot of game to be played, and he knows that. He's going to drop the cage, get the Evos in cycle, and do his very best.
First minute away, Adriel just opts to get his cannon cycled, put everything in the right order that he wants for this next step, puts the Empress in the back corner.
Yeah, and then once again, you got to talk about the Adriel's just team for deck picking. Really solid stuff here. Cannon plus Drill for E-Giant plus Evo Snowball for E-Giant. And then the Evo Cannon also one of the best counters, the Evo Archers. Arden does have the Spear Empress. I do like the Spear Empress plus E-Giant synergy. Spear Empress does a great job of just kind of hovering over the river and trying to snipe at those buildings to get the E-Giant to the tower. But you can see how Adriel is just controlling that really nicely. One note though, once again, the Cannon Evo out of cycle now. Maybe there's a chance that Arden makes something happen to Evo Archers here.
Well, let's take a look. In the double elixir, Adriel cycles his knight to the left-hand side, goes for the Empress to work on the middle. Fireball should get it all together.
Wow.
And what an absolute, you know, I have to think there, Juicy, as I see the results of that was an absolute troll job from Adriel. That he was just going, hey, I'm going to look like I'm cheesy just trying to snipe your cage, but really I'm hovering a fireball ready for you to put those Evo Archers down.
Yeah. Yeah. The counter push is here. Tornado is out. Should be able to take out the Spear Empress pretty quickly. But the E-Giant is not making it to the tower, and the Knight's going to do a great job of tanking. So now it's Adriel's time to attack once again.
Now you mentioned, you talk about the different Evos being out, Evo Archers out of cycle. That was a good opportunity. Either way, you know, both players taking swings, Juicy, but so far no one able to find any sort of real opportunity for a breakthrough.
Yeah, that Gold Knight was definitely going to give him a chance here, but the Spear Emperor just hits so hard. It really is like a mini P.E.K.K.A in the air. Even though the reflection's coming through, it still has so much HP as well. So E-Giant really struggling to make it to the tower here.
Into sudden death overtime, and Arden unhappy with something there.
Yeah. And this is what I mean. I really don't think the emotions are going to help you here. I think you have to stay locked in, and you have to play to the best of your ability, no matter how difficult the matchup or how unlucky the situation is.
Oh,
but yeah, just Goblins connecting here. The Barb Barrel just too early. He's shaking his head. He's angry. This is not what you want to see.
Well, I'm guessing, I believe Arden streams while he's competing too, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong there. So, you know, it's also one of those things where you're also trying to be entertainment at the same time. I might be wrong with whether he's streaming or not, but I think he does. That's one of those things too. I mean, you know better than anybody that it's maybe at least a little bit more challenging playing when you're trying to be entertaining as well as opposed to just being locked in.
Sure. Yeah, 35 seconds on the clock. Cannon's on the board. E-Giant, he does get a decent lightning, but there it is. The Tornado nerf once again. Just it's not doing really any damage here to the Spear Empress. So lightning not going to take it out, and another Spear Empress on the board once again. I feel bad. I mean, I feel bad. Like, as a fellow E-Giant enjoyer, I don't think there's any way Arden's winning this game. He knows it. He drops the lightning on the king, and it's over here, Rich.
And a 2-0 for Adriel still helps you maintain your level for high level or potentially competitive play.
Honestly, I think it's more helpful than like I probably initially thought or like realized. Even if you're just, even if it's not ladder, like even if you're just on the game for, you know, 4 or 5 hours a day, like I am, I think that definitely does just keep the cogs moving in your brain of like understanding how the game works, understanding cycles. And I mean, we've talked about a lot how the game has evolved over the years. No pun intended here with evolutions, but it used to be that like just keeping track of your opponent's win condition and their counter to your win condition was most important. But now it's just evolved to the point where you have to keep track of win conditions, 2 evolutions, the spells, then their counter to their evolution. So just even if you're not like specifically practicing or duels formatting best of threes, just being on the game is definitely really important.
So after a couple exchanges back and forth, giving the lead to Ian 23-75 on the right-hand side, we've got a nice opening. And as you look at this Ram Rider versus this Mortar Bait kind of deck, thoughts on the matchup?
Looking at this matchup, I think overall, I think that my initial thought was to give it to Adriel because Executioner is going to be one of the last cards here. Does a pretty good job, but I feel like the Spirit Empress from Ian actually does a great job of kind of controlling the Executioner. Once again, just a mini peck in the sky. Gonna be able to do a great job of trying to clean up the Exe here. He does have a Lightning, and a Snowball, so maybe the Executioner can lock on, but still, even with that play, Executioner is getting taken down to below half HP.
Exe does do its work to slow things down. Ram Rider going to connect. Exe gets picked up by the Spirit Empress. And Ian did say that he's not a big fan of the Spirit Empress just because it's so hard to kill on the opposite side of the board.
Yeah.
So we see him using that to the opposing effect.
Yeah, it's such a strong card. I mean, we've talked about the versatility of the card a lot. The fact that you can play it. It's almost like 2 cards in your deck at the same time. Like, if you're in a tough spot and you need a ground tank, you can get that down. Wait, I gotta take a second to stop my train of thought here because this Ram Rider is connecting for a lot of damage here. And the push isn't over. Spirit Empress does drop down, kind of like we're talking about, but the problem is that she doesn't have much HP. Another Ram Rider on the board. Why we're trying to push back, and Adriel just continues to press the issue here.
An absolute, and you see the good game from Ian as Adriel now puts that down to under 500 HP. What a sequence from Adriel, and it was just pressure, pressure, pressure. Ian on a desert island, and Adriel just continuing to deny him water.
Yeah. Yeah, the other thing about this matchup is the fact that Adriel does have double small spell along with the Executioner. Yeah, Spirit Empress is decent for trying to clean stuff up, but even the dual lane pressure here is only going to be able to do so much with the Snowball dropping down.
Ram Rider behind the boss. Ram Rider will go ahead and not connect. Lightning to clear, though, and that will finish things off. Adriel winning game number 1. I don't know if we've had one without Royal Giant, and maybe very few that even haven't featured Royal Giant at least one time on both sides. So let's see. Igor and Clown and Mugi both played it in their matchup. Igor and Viper had a Royal Giant mirror matchup today. Lucas played it against Pedro. Pedro did not play Royal Giant in that matchup. That's the first time going back through these that I see one where they didn't both play it at some point. So in most of our matchups, Adriel Arden, it looks like, didn't actually play Royal Giant at all. But it's been pretty ubiquitous, as you probably would not be surprised.
Interesting. Yeah, and then in this match, looks like we have I don't know, this is wild. We have a Minor Queen mirror matchup kind of coming out of nowhere. I haven't seen much of the Queen today. The difference in the matchup here is probably going to be the fact that Ian has a slightly quicker cycle. No Berserker, but instead with Ice Spirit Skeletons. I don't know if that's actually a positive thing, though, as you can see already how Adriel is able to use that Berserker to really control the Minor in this matchup. It's all about the chip here.
And how much quicker really is that, the one elixir versus 2 elixir? So quicker, yes. But also the big difference here is going to be the Evos, right? So we have the Evo Ice Spirit for Adriel, not the Evo Ice Spirit for Ian.
True.
Do you have an assumption on what he's putting in the Evo slot there?
Yeah, my guess is probably going to be an Evo Cannon. Whatever his building is, potentially Evo Tesla. More likely an Evo Cannon when paired with the Queen here, though.
And Rocket Cycle begins directly on to the Valk.
Ian will take the opportunity to drop a Queen here in the back, activate his 3-card cycle, and he's going to send a Rocket of his own to get some damage. Maybe we'll see a Minor too to try and tank for this Queen and try and get some damage back as Adriel continues to be up. And looks like it is going to be the Tesla Evo for Ian.
So you're talking about the Rocket or the Cannon Evo with the Archer Queen, but Does that change whether you're playing more of a minor focused cycle deck or the rocket focused cycle deck?
Good question. Good question. I think it might change it a little bit. The only reason I would have said Cannon instead of Tesla is mainly just because it's cheaper. Like, you do talk about how, like, one elixir, how much difference can it make? And you're right, especially for the cycle cards. But when you add up, like, the amount of elixir you're spending on buildings over time throughout the match, a lot of the time you do want something a little bit cheaper here. And you can kind of start to see how, as he spends so much elixir on these Teslas, he's not having as much for defending against the miner. And Adriel just up so much damage here. I don't know how, but he just seems to be applying so much better pressure while Adriel continues to catch these miners every time with the Berserker.
And a really great Ice Spirit in the back there as well, timed perfectly to contend with the Rocket. We are pretty even right now, though, and able to cycle Queens, both players, into their non-playing side, or into their own offensive side, if you will. Rocket cycle both directions, Log to pull the Miner back a little bit. Miner going to work on the right-hand side, down to 455. Ian running out of time.
Yeah, running out of time and running out of HP. Miner, or Rocket comes down for Ian, but it's already just Rocket range for Adriel, right?
GG, well played. Adriel just absolutely crushing it today.
Talk about Adriel doing that?
He did, yeah.
It's my favorite thing. Yeah, I was gonna say the only person that's played Clash Royale longer than than Sam is Adriel, who's been playing since 2012, actually. One of my favorite things. So here we go. Sam may be going right back to the deck that we were just talking about. Starts off with the Barrel and the Dark Goblin and the Wall Breakers. Has all the pieces so far, but knowing Sam and knowing that everyone was watching and talking about him yesterday could have changed things up. Adriel on the other side of it, maybe looking like Graveyard.
Yeah, and never, I mean, always a fan of using Graveyard against players like Zop Sam. You want to be able to control the arena because they're going to try a lot of these giant skeleton decks or the Goblin Giant decks that will struggle to get on through a solid defense. So I really love this deck choice from him. And then on the flip side, I love the deck choice from Zop Sam. Not using Giant Skeleton, not using these heavy deck, instead going in with the Berserker, Quick Cycle, Skeleton Barrel, Wall Breakers. I think both players have, you know, approached this game beautifully.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something that I was going to say about the decks yesterday. Obviously, a little bit more exciting to talk about Sam's decks just because they're a little weirder, a little bit different than what you expect. But Adriel, honestly, with his deck picking yesterday, I thought was absolutely phenomenal, especially in that set against Arden Toas. I think Arden, you know, for as much as I talk about Arden needing to mature a little bit as a player, I still believe that. But I also believe that Arden probably got a little tilted by the way he started his day against Adriel quick 2-0, and Adriel just having such good decks in that matchup, and Spears, they're going to distract that Dark Goblin just long enough, maybe actually not long enough, has to have the barrel come out as well. And there's the Mother Witch that we talked about. So Sam, just like us, all a fan of this deck, and just not quite as many spots for that Mother Witch to be used, but I think now maybe recognizing probably running into Graveyard. I don't know, I almost would have, if it is Graveyard, I would have loved to see Adriel maybe just go super aggressive opposite lane with a naked Graveyard because it is against Cannoneer and Mother Witch was out of cycle, but you know, knowing me and my ability to call could be all
But right here, it does get very difficult to get offensive pressure, even with the Mother Witch out of hand, because he does have the Goblin King, the Dark Goblin.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty tough for Adriel to get past all this. We see the high Dark Goblin giving him what looks to be an opportunity, but instead, again, Mother Witch defending, but it's still getting a little bit of chip damage. This counter push is going to be pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where I think Adriel was thinking exactly what we were, which is like, I gotta try, right? I gotta find a moment where maybe my win condition can come through, and I think it might be one of those scenarios where, oh man, it's so tough because he just has no other way to get damage on tower other than poisoning, but I just don't know where that Graveyard is ever gonna work.
Yeah, and right here, a lot of chip damage, and I'm pretty sure a couple of the skeletons were able to hit to the tower. Sam doing a great job. Yeah, the Dark Goblin getting shot after shot, does get retargeted right there, but brilliant pressure and still stays alive.
The Dark Goblin squeezes around the density of the Skeleton King, gets on top of tower, baits out a ton of elixir on the right-hand side. Then we see Sam go heavy on the left, and that's exactly how we got there, was the overspend on the left-hand side that allowed Sam to go crazy on the right-hand side with the Skeleton King, with the Dark Goblin, with the Berserker, with the ability. And the Dark Goblin just putting in tons of work here. Sam firmly in control. 70 seconds remain. Adriel needs a miracle.
Sam playing this beautifully, continuing to flip lanes and not allow Adriel to get any sort of big push. And we see it again, Berserker opposite lane at the bridge. Wallbreaker's coming in not to get tower damage, but instead to try and take out the Goblin Hut. One of them doesn't reach, so not going to get there all the way, but the Dark Goblin putting up everything. It feels like his Dark Goblins are like barbarians with their health.
I mean, really would have been nice to have a log instead of a bar barrel. Here you understand why the bar barrel, because of the graveyard, but that bar barrel just not able to get on top of the goblins the way that a log would. So you're seeing him have to innovate and put different ways to get on top of that Dark Goblin, just not really working. And then the other part of it is that Sam is doing such a good job of baiting out the barrel with the skeleton barrels. This is a huge push on the right. I'm going to stop talking for a second.
Yeah, the Berserker gets deleted from the map. Sam not going to be able to defend.
Oh my gosh, the Furnace is piling up. 94 HP remaining, just needs a poison. 635 on that tower, and there's the poison, and Sam cannot believe it. Well played by Adriel, doing what he does best, which is just staying locked in. Percent as we hop into game number 2 here. Now Sam, a guy that's always been really firmly in control of his emotions. We're going to see if he can bounce back after that devastating loss, and we'll see if Adriel just went straight up copy deck, which is something that honestly for years we have loved to see. We have loved to see the straight up copy deck because there's something crazy about the mental game there, but already looking just a little bit different as we see the double spirits come out.
Yeah, going ultra quick cycle. Sam on the other side going to be running one of his patented Goblin Giant, Goblin Curse, Goblin Demolisher, Destroyer, just as many goblins as he can fit, plus a Furnace, and right there, Rage coming down, going to be able to defend the Skeleton Barrel pretty easily, but those wall breakers should make it to the tower, and they do.
Yeah, I'm really curious here if maybe Sam just playing a little bit predictable. Game 1, he goes right back to that deck that he ran that was very successful. I mean, it basically feels like he kind of just swapped what he ran yesterday from Game 1 to Game 2.
Yeah, until I see him lose the set, I'll definitely never say anything as a he should have done this, just because of all the respect that I have for him. But it's certainly something to look at, especially going against a player like Adriel.
Double connection again on that left-hand side, and Sam right now just trying to stop the bleeding. Only person yesterday, I believe, to use the Chef Tower, and here we are once again. And you know, one of the things about the Chef Tower is in single elixir, you really want to put the pedal to the metal. You want to punish them because also this deck gets stronger in double, and you know, the weakness of the tower feels maybe a little bit less of a variable in double as well. So just because you're able to get more units on the board, and decent breakthrough here. That Dark Goblin going to turn into one Goblin. I just ignore it. Yeah, I ignore it. I go right back on offense. Sam only has 3 elixirs, so we can go dual lane here.
Should be able to clean up the Skeleton Barrel pretty nicely with the help of the Bar Barrel, and that's exactly what happens. So tower all the way down to 900, 500 for Zobsam. I mean, he has the opportunities to make it through. Can he get the Goblin Giant to push past? And instead, he's going to elect to go the Demolisher all the way in the back. And I really like this. He's saying that he will be able to make it, and we're going to see right now if that's going to be the case.
Late Mighty Miner ability. Does not get it off in time to clear the minions, but might not need it. Dark Goblin putting in great work there as we see another good connection on the right-hand side. 725-37 to 887 as we see a sellout push on the right, and that should do it. Wow, Gob Giant not going to be enough defensively. He's in 3rd place because Mohamed Light and Ian have already qualified. Viper, on the other hand of it, is in 16th place because this is the first month that he's made it to a monthly final. But He's got 70 points from it so far, obviously because he's still alive, which means that, you know, being able to climb up in points, he could get all the way up to the top 10 if he were able to win this month, or at least get second place. He would be in that top 12, excuse me, in second place. So here we go. Game number 1 of this best of 5. As you guys can see, 5 crowns on that right-hand side. That is not a mistake. That is just for us to get excited about. Adriel going to go with Miner Control, it looks like, here in game number 1. Mighty Miner plus Minions. Probably Wall Breakers in there as well, but maybe he just goes, yeah, it should still be Wall Breakers in there, I would think.
Good timing with the log coming in from Adriel. Gonna clean that up really, really easily, really smoothly. Viper on the other side, gonna be running Snowball plus Arrows, so definitely have to take a look at both of the spells being used. Is that something that could be a detriment as the set goes along? All of these are going to be analyzed very closely as we head into this best of 5.
Wall Breakers coming out there on the left-hand side. Snowball to meet, and yeah, interesting synergy here in this deck from Viper. I kind of like it. It's like you got the Gobstein with maybe the Furnace behind, and then you get the Drill to come in, Evo Snowball, all of those things coming together. I can see it. I can see the vision. Very curious if it actually fares well running into this Evo Tesla, and then that Poison can put in a lot of work.
Yeah, Adriel just cycles so quickly and has so many troops on the board that either give him positive interactions or positive elixir trades. It's just going to be tough for Viper to get an offensive push because the Goblin Slam with the Doctor is always going to get poisoned out. The Furnace never really that big of a problem. But we'll have to see. I think it's definitely going to wait for triple elixir, but yeah, I just don't know exactly how he wants to get past this defense.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was saying, is like this deck has a lot of pieces that feel like they work together and make sense. The only problem is that every deck works together and makes sense until you run into the 8 cards that your opponent is running. And right now, the 8 cards that Adriel is running, he's already, like, that whole time you were talking about him making Viper spend more and making his plays and all that, and just like kind of controlling the elixir conversation. He was doing all that in that moment. He was going minor Wall Breakers, and then he played Minions, and he baited out the Evo Furnace, so that's just something that we're going to probably see a lot of. Right now, game very, very close, 26-81 to 26-26. That miner comes in and actually gives Adriel the lead. Along with those Wall Breakers connecting, gives him a substantial lead. Right-hand side, not a lot of elixir in the tank. There goes the bomb from the Mighty Miner, and another set of minions at the bridge. The aggression from Adriel right now is relentless.
Yeah, Viper forcing out the arrows once again. The Wall Breakers just getting value every single time. The Evo Wall Breakers getting value plus chip damage at the very end. The Wall Breakers forcing out this, forcing out that. I mean, it's just incredible the amount of pressure we've seen so far. And these minions, I talked about it earlier on, that I was excited to see how the minions would fare in today's Championship Sunday, but also the monthly final in general. And I mean, they seem to be doing well.
Yeah, really, really well. We saw Adriel run yesterday that Mortar double Minions deck. That was pretty cool. We've seen that pop up on ladder just a little bit over the last couple weeks. And obviously not bringing it out here today, but Minions doing very, very well. Yeah, such an interesting buff. Like, do they need a speed buff or do they need an attack range buff? As of right now, the attack range buff seems to be incredibly strong.
Yeah, and so right now, 36 seconds left. Adriel, no chance, or yes, the Mighty Miner is on the board, so he's going to have a 3-card cycle.
Minion's going to connect. Oh, no. Guards, or excuse me, the spears pull it over just in time, and then the arrows come down. That's one interaction that's changed, just like kind of how buildings don't pull the exact same way as they used to. Those minions with their increased range, getting that third one can be a little difficult when you're playing units in the middle of distract.
Tesla able to take it out in time. A damage advantage right now, so can win this just by playing some solid defense, and I think that's exactly what we're going to see. Viper, I liked Viper's triple elixir play. I thought he did a great job of trying to get pressure on top of the tower. But Adriel, I mean, as soon as he recognized that it was going to be insurmountable.
All right, you heard it here first. on broadcast, 7x Elixir, final 30 seconds, maybe coming in 2039. Here we go. Viper, bottom of your screen. Adriel at the top. Adriel yet to lose a game this weekend. Can he keep the train rolling? We'll find out. And if I'm Pedro, I need Adriel to lose a game before he runs into me, if that's the case, and that's the way that this set's going to go. Viper obviously still has 4 games to turn things around. Not going to count him out yet. Just saying that about Adriel because that is an impressive feat after as many sets as he's played.
Yeah, Adriel going to be running Hog, Bar Barrel, Ice Spirit. Viper, on the other hand, going to be running Minor Wall Breakers. Probably the exact same deck that we just saw from Pedro in game number 1. Adriel probably going to be running the Lightning variant. Still a couple cards to go, so we will wait patiently and see what Adriel wants to follow up.
Let's steal the show.
And the Boss Bandit. I like the Boss Bandit. How do you feel about Boss Bandit right now in the meta? Is it, and in terms of balances? Well balanced, well in the meta, needs a little bit of a balance. What are your thoughts?
You know, I think it's probably good. I would have no problem with somebody, you know, walking up to me on the street and disagreeing with my opinion if I see them later today. But at the same time,
that'll happen.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, it's probably not gonna happen. But I think it's pretty good for and relatively well balanced.
If you're in the San Francisco area later today and you see AC walking around, please make his day and talk to him about the ball. Here we go. Moving into double elixir. 1 minute remaining in regulation. Miner getting on top of tower. Very, very close game here. And yeah, as of right now, just some earthquakes getting some damage for Adriel, and I'm trying to figure out how he wants to break through.
Yeah, the earthquake instead of lightning, it changes the matchup quite a bit.
Better or worse in this case?
I can't tell just yet. I can't tell if it's one of those things where. Oh, and the firecracker. Okay, I think better when it's paired with the firecracker.
Yeah, I actually think this matchup specifically is much better than what it could have been if it was like Furnace and Lightning instead of Earthquake and Firecracker, or, you know, whatever other combination of champions, spell, and range unit. I actually think that Adriel found himself in a really, really good spot. And this is what I was talking about yesterday and at the top of the show, man. I feel like Adriel's deck building has been absolutely phenomenal all weekend long. And I want to give a shout out to his coach, right? We were talking about coaching earlier, and Jebez is working with Adriel right now. And I think Jebez is also working with Viper, and so this becomes one of those really interesting conversations, which we've had many times in the past. And I want to make sure I'm not just talking over any good action here. It seems like this defense is going to be pretty clean, but a lot of times in the past, AC, and you can chime in on this because obviously you were a pro, but usually when one coach is coaching 2 players, they just step away for that said set. And I'm curious if that's what Jebus is doing here.
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit of a discussion saying that one of these 2 players, I can't remember which one between these 2, has like a secondary coach. So,
yeah.
You know, it'll be really interesting, but yes, oftentimes when 2 players shared a coach, it would just be left up to the players. But then it would always get weird because, like, you know, players actively go for coaches because they don't want to have to be in those kind of situations. So it, I don't know. It's always been kind of a funky thing to have 2 players with the same coach get matched up.
And I think it's Jay Daniel, if I'm reading that correctly, might be the other person working with Adriel. So as of right now, Viper, though, in the lead. This minor poison control deck. It's going chip damage here and there, and poison value here and there. 1744, Hog in the back here. Angel trying to see if he can make something happen with that 3-card cycle. Evo Firecracker, 2 Hogs coming down. Problem is you got 2 Hogs against nothing. You know, you got no support. You just got 2 Hogs going directly into a big push of Mighty Miner, Minions, Tesla, and we're all evened up after game number 2.
Yeah, beautiful gameplay from Viper to take game number 2 overall. We've seen him be a priority for some of these players. But yeah, the minions are just tough to stop.
Yeah, and then it's like you can't really just cycle your boss man in the opposite lane, and yeah, really tough situation there. Would love to hear a pro or a coach really break that down, but here we go. Game number 3. Viper already looking like you could be going some form of mortar. Adriel technically could too. There's been versions of mortar with Spirit Empress and Ice Wiz, but for some reason probably not.
Yeah, it's definitely up in the air, but now that the arrows and the Goblin Gang have both been shown, it's definitely looking more and more likely. The Spirit Goblins, can they take out the Dark Goblin entirely? Not going to be the case. The Viper, 3 Spirit Goblins and a Dark Goblin. How does Adriel want to defend? And he's going to choose the Berserker, so I believe it's going to be mortar on mortar.
Yeah, I think so. It makes sense too with the 2 Cannoneer towers, as Cannoneers coupled with mortar 90+% of the time. And nice placement there on that Skelly King, not allowing any death damage or skeleton damage. That's a little bit harder than he made it look, honestly.
Yeah, that's not what happens when I do.
Yeah, me neither.
So one of the interactions that like kind of blows my mind nowadays is that the Bar Barrel gets chip shots, chip damage on top of the tower, even against the Cannoneer. And right there, a lot of chip damage coming in from the mortar. Just nothing in cycle for Viper, I guess.
Yeah, Viper just holding, waiting for the mortar to connect, then goes Dark Goblin, baits out the arrows, then goes Goblin Gang, and just not an ideal way to kind of start this somewhat mirror matchup. And yeah, those new interactions with the Cannoneer are weird. The one that gets me the most for some reason is the Barbarian is definitely number 2, but the Bomber. I don't know why the Bomber always gets me. I'm always like, you should not live through this, and it always does.
I didn't even know that a 2-shot Bomber.
Maybe I'm just lying.
Oh,
that seems good for my job. Yeah, it's definitely one of those interactions that I actually don't think it's a bad interaction. I actually think the changes they made are good. I think it's good that wall breakers actually have an effect now, and I think it's good that you can't just ignore all these 2 elixir cards. So shout out to the Balance team once again as we see a mortar come out here for Viper trying to even things up. Spirit Empress meets Spirit Empress. Dark Goblin meets Berserker. And this gang should be more than enough to... Actually, you know what? Excuse me. Really nice barrel plus Dark Goblin, but Spirit Empress puts in that damage with that range.
right there, the Evo barrel protected. Is it going to get the double shot, double connection? Not. Did he defend properly with the Skeleton King again?
I think so. I mean, it looks like it took 100 damage, I think, so maybe one of the barrels popped.
Yeah, right there. I mean, Viper doing everything that he can. I just watched the replay. He didn't take a single lick of damage right there. Yeah, just brilliant stuff with the Skeleton King and Adriel. Like,
hit damage though. That is what I'm so curious about here with Vipers. How is he going to break through 2134 to 1817? It's been a while since Vipers gotten some damage in, as he said with this Evil Mortar on the right-hand side. Berserker up high, hiding opposite. Feels like a good moment here. Evil Mortar could get a connection. There's the game coming down.
Yeah, we definitely can't protect the mortar any more so because he knows his opponent wants the arrows on top. He does.
Yep, there it is.
Can he catch the barb? He does. So clean defense right there. And Adriel, I mean, both of these players just playing out of their minds. This is top
really.
company.
Yeah, Adriel's just been in the lead for a bit, but honestly, not by much. And there we go. Good pull there on the Evo barrel. Going to get a good setup here for the next 30 seconds or so. It feels like not going to be able to get back on offense with the mortar is Viper. So he tries it. He's going to try to force it here in the middle, but just nothing is going to be able to do it there. Spirit Empress on the board. Evo mortar doesn't lock, but will get a shot.
Yeah, look at the right lane though. The Skeletons getting on top of the tower, getting it all the way down to sub 1,000 HP. Arrows coming down on offense. Plus the Empress. The left lane still needs to be defended. The right lane going down entirely. Adriel taking the 2-1.
Here we go. Game number 4. Adriel up 2-1. Could win it right here and then secure himself a spot in the top 2. At least a silver ticket. Viper trying to change that tune right now. 1 game in the bank. And only 1 life to live here as Adriel starts with his Evo Furnace in the back. and Mother Witch. Haven't seen Mother Witch a lot other than from OP Sam's deck. And we're going Golden Knight, Mother Witch here on the left-hand side. We've seen versions of Piggies with this in the past. There was that light. And there we go. It's going to be Mother Witch, E-Giant. E-Giant medium matchup, or medium fair yesterday. I think it won one, lost one. But, running into a Big Mama P.E.K.K.A AC, that is not ideal if you're running E-Giant.
Yeah, never a great situation. Cannon plus Bomber is going to defend pretty well, and I really thought he was kind of a 10th of a second away from activating the Golden Knight right here. 4 Elixir left. The NATO putting in a little bit of work. He needs a little bit of help. I mean, the Zappies slow everything down, and he does get the defense off technically, but Adriel, I mean, has to be feeling so good right now.
I love that sequence of offense. He's got a Golden Knight in front of a P.E.K.K.A, all of which have very low HP. Or excuse me, the Golden Knight has low HP. Then he goes Battle Ram in front. So we got the Battle Ram taking for the Golden Knight. Then we have the Golden Knight taking for the Barbs. All of these things are tanking for the P.E.K.K.A, which then tanks at the very, very end for those Zappies, and a brutal start here for Viper in his, not elimination game, but his removal from the upper bracket.
Yeah, and I mean, Adriel already has the Evo Battle Ram. One of the big discussion points for the Evo Battle Ram is that it's hard to get it down enough.
Yeah.
And to already have it as Double Elixir is just starting, that's just one more thing that Viper has to be worried about.
Yeah, that's a really good point that you make about the Evo Battle Ram. It does seem like it is hard to get it in cycle, but man, it can be one of the most difficult Evos to manage in the game. I mean, honestly, the Evo Furnace is one of them as well. And look at that lightning. My goodness. You can see Adriel. I mean, barely you can see Adriel because we're only seeing the top of his eyes and his forehead mainly, but you can tell very unhappy about giving away that value. He's had a pretty dominant elixir lead and damage lead this entire game, and that just changed everything. We're going to see if he can turn it into a big push here.
Yeah, and right there, Golden Knight's dash.
Yep.
Oh, beautiful right there. I thought that was kind of a interesting situation. I thought he had already used the Golden Knight dash, so just kind of work on my thing.
I thought he was going to get on tower. I thought that Golden Knight should have connected the tower, especially with the NATO help, but just not in range for Viper. And now that Furnace gets a splash on tower, and man, 946 remains, no big spells, so Viper has to remember that there is always a way out, but not looking good as of right now. 2370, the weakest tower for Adriel. 946, the weakest tower for Viper.
Yeah, forces out NATO, still almost gets to the tower, forces out the cannon as well. And see, this is where the Furnace becomes so impossible to defeat.
He needed to go just this half second earlier. He would have gotten the Mother Witch, the cannon, the bomber, and the tower.
Yeah, right there. I mean, the Ghost is able to take out everything. It's just now that we're into triple elixir, and when we were deep into double elixir, you can just put the Furnace in the back and then bridge spam as well. And you're basically going to have bridge spam plus a fire spirit every 2 or 3 seconds. And that's just always so hard to stop.
Still alive is Viper as that tower ticks down. 334, 1978 as a Piggy sneaks on through. And another NATO trying to get the bomber lineup. Bomber lineup does happen. Gets a couple shots in. A little closer here, separated by 1100 HP.
Yeah, with 23 seconds left, though, still definitely in full control. P.E.K.K.A coming down at the bridge from Adriel. Maybe you'd have the opportunity to go opposite lane. It doesn't matter. The Golden Knight plus the P.E.K.K.A, too strong on defense. Adriel's got this.
And then game number 4, able to take things home with the Boss Bandit plus the Drill deck. Here we go. Grand Finals coming your way. Can Adriel close it out in this best of 5, or will we be pushed to a reset? We're about to find out.
Adriel going to be running the Machine Empress Gob Giant deck that we've seen more than I expected. I expected a few players to run it. I expected Zopsam to use it, of course. But, I mean, most of these players are trying their luck with it. And, I mean, it makes sense. It's one of the strongest decks in the game. And Pedro on the other side going to be running some version of bridge spam. Can he get the ghost out in time? He doesn't. That's three shots, 3 important shots from the Lumberjack.
Yeah, really nice rage play there by Adriel just to clean up that last little lick of HP and then gets the Lumberjack on tower. And now Pedro going, anything you can do, I can try to do better, but the God Machine going to come out and tank both lanes, kiting all those units to the center of the board. Untouched, basically, is Adriel. And a big Lumberjack connection on the left-hand side leaves Pedro wanting.
And I forgot to give an official answer, but I actually do have Adriel winning set 1. I have him just winning it overall
Just
without
closing it out,
the need
huh?
for, yeah, no bracket reset necessary.
We shall see if that's the case as of right now. Looks like you're right, but still very, very early in this game, and even earlier in this set. Spirit Empress comes down. Did you guys know that interaction? Well, now you do. Stops the battle ram at the bridge, stops the charge, but allows the barbs to come in and get a few hits. I don't love that, but I'm thinking that Adriel's got a good plan here on the right-hand side, or excuse me, left-hand side.
And right there, gonna use the rage on top of the Empress. I don't know. That was just so interesting. I expected him to use it on top of the Mother Witch, try and take that out. Instead, electing not to do that. And that is a healthy battle ram, getting on top of the tower, but the grounded Empress. The grounded Empress put it in work.
Don't ask me what I want it to be called. I like the grounded Empress, though. I think that's pretty good. That was such a weird use of what felt like an advantage from Adriel. It felt like he had an advantage and just completely threw it out the window. And it felt like it was his cycle he had no idea what to do with. Like you were talking about, using that rage on the Spirit Empress just ended up to be a lot of damage taken. Now he's got a decent push on the left-hand side by baiting out the elixir on the right. 17-20 to 13-10. Favor still in Pedro's corner as this Golden Knight needs to be stopped. Battle ram behind.
Gets it down just in time and then shoots from long range as well. So beautiful defense from Adriel, and that's going to be trouble on the left, trouble on the right. The Ghost not doing anything. The Empress, the Lumberjack on top of the tower, has to worry about the left side, and somehow, some way, Pedro is still alive. I thought he was losing both towers.
Yeah, he was somehow comes in, retargets the Spirit Empress on the right, gets enough damage to slow things down on the left, and this has just been a game of absolute haymakers being thrown back and forth, exactly what you want in the finals. And now we see Evo Lumberjack push with Battle Ram behind, Golden Knight at the bridge, trying to get that Golden Knight connection. Evo Lumberjack going to battle against one another, doesn't get on tower though.
Yeah, really expected it to get to the tower. Ghost going to be able to take out the bomber. The minions are going to be able to take it out in time, I believe, and that is going to be the case. But Mother Witch spawning some hogs. And I mean, this is just pressure on pressure from both of these players.
How does he stop the push on the right-hand side? Misses the arrows on the bomber, but doesn't matter. Goes for the arrows on the minions. Minions come down late. Battle ram connects. Pedro gonna be able to take this game, maybe, as the machine is on the left-hand side and now is on top of the tower. 58 HP remains.
He should have arrows in cycle.
There
He does get it down in time. Cal Pedro. I mean, what a game number 1.
As we hop into game number 2, can we reset? Is the question that Adriel is asking himself.
Pedro going to be running what looks to be RG Monk. Adriel on the other side, going to be running Skeleton Barrel Mortar, most likely. And, you know, it's just so refreshing to finally, I mean, I don't know if I want it to stay this way, and how I'll feel about it long term, but we're 2 cards into both of these guys, and it just feels like we already know their decks.
Yeah, and I also know this matchup pretty well because I am a Mortar player, and I don't love it. I'll be honest, I really, really don't love it, especially if they have Lightning. That Mortar starts to become less and less impactful as the game goes on. The Evo Wizard does a really, really good job of dealing with everything at the bridge with the Monk right in front. That Monk's going to put in work on the Cannon Cart and the Dark Goblins, so maybe it's just because I really hate playing against this version of RG that I feel so negative about it, but, you know, Adriel's obviously 1,000 times better than I am, so maybe he can play through this. It's just tough when you have the E-Spirit there as well, AC, because now there's something in the Skeleton Barrel that can usually get you a positive elixir trade that is now getting you a negative elixir trade for just a small amount of damage.
Yeah, and right there, dropping the rage instead of, you know, some other card, some log, some bar barrel. The rage does make this quite a bit more intimidating if you are Adriel, and we see him setting up with the defensive mortar, and I mean, I definitely don't mind it. You know, I think you kind of, I'm sure it's an incredible play, but this is definitely a precarious situation for Adriel.
It is good that it's the light or the fireball instead of the lightning. I feel like because of that being the case, the health of the cannon and the health of the Evo mortar just have a little bit more legs. But again, you just see this coupling of the E-Wiz plus the cannon cart plus the E-Spirit if you need it. Now you get in the late monk that's going to stop the Dark Goblin. There you go. Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to say. I guess Adriel needs to really make you use all of your abilities and kind of get your units out of sequence up high. But there you go. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Everything's spent. You got the monk off the board. You got the E-Spirit out of play early. It comes back into play for the bats. The mortar still tanks for a bit. And you still take that RG shot.
Yeah. Adriel gonna really need to figure something out if he wants to bring himself back into this game. And right there, Rage almost a little bit too early from Pedro, but not gonna be a problem. RG with the help of the fireball should get one shot. And that's what happens.
Yeah, I mean, like, what you do. I feel your pain, Adriel. Show me how to beat this.
Yeah, I mean, when you take a look at the matchup and you try and figure out how you are supposed to beat it, the problem is, against a player of Pedro's caliber, a lot of the answers that you can think of are not real answers. Because, you know, sometimes you can try and get the E-Spirit out of cycle, but then he's going to have the Rage. You try and get the Rage out of cycle. Just everything he does is so pitch perfect. But right there, I think he got a couple extra skeleton shots. So, there's a shot.
Double drop, skeleton shot. Yeah, there's the E-Spirit for that, though, so... Dark Goblin right behind high Fishboy. Okay, so now the Fishboy's out of cycle. I like the early fireball before the monk ability comes in. Oof, man, those guards, that was dangerous.
Super dangerous. Monk not going to be able to make it to the tower. 1 minute left. It's a close game, Pedro, with definitely what looks to be the advantage.
1690, 1974, 75 seconds remaining. Bar Barrel comes out to get on top of that. Evo Wizard, Monk plus Fishboy making some work on the left-hand side. I like the push that Adriel's putting together. Here. I still don't know if it's going to break through.
Yeah, the problem, there's just way too many problems occurring for Adriel. The Evo Wizards, the Monks, there's just so many different ways to defend for Pedro. And right here, Mortar, I like it. I like everything he's doing. It's not going to be enough.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, I know this is really selfish of me, but I feel a little bit better after watching this game because really, when you run into them, I mean, you don't have a barrel here or a log, but you have the Rage, which is essentially doing the exact same thing. The E-Spirit is such a great card in the meta right now, and especially against this deck specifically, AC. The bats are a non-factor. So anyway, I digress. Great game number 2 there for Pedro. Great set so far for Pedro, who has yet to lose a game and is just one game away from pushing this to an upper bracket grand finals reset, where we'll be seeing one more best of 5. We have to see a reverse sweep from Adriel starting right now.
So one point I really do want to give a quick shout out to for both of these players is that when it is a 2-0 situation in a bracket reset final, I find that the most effective way as either one of these pro players is to not give any new information. If you take game number 3 and you are Adriel, well then maybe, depending on, you know, one of the matchups that you might be able to get, you could try for game number 4, try and push it to a game number 5. And then on the opposite side, if you're Pedro, you don't want to give any new information. You're already up 2-0, you can afford a loss, still be fine with the way you're playing. I think it's necessary for both of these players not to show anything new in a game 3.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't think I'd ever really thought about that macro strategy, but I think I agree. Yeah, I think the idea of me, Adriel, going 3 in a row feels really unlikely. And then if I'm Pedro, the idea that I'm not going to win one of the next 3 with something I've already played before also seems really unlikely. So I think that's a great little piece of analysis, Josh, that I don't know if we've really talked about before.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, calm down. It's all right. Calm down.
I wish you wouldn't be so surprised.
I'm very surprised.
That's actually decent, yeah.
Rocket goes in to get some good rocket value on that left-hand side. Adriel going a little more aggressive here in this game, obviously recognizing that he's going up against another rocket. I think Adriel's damage obviously feels like he can put out a little bit more because he's got the Skeleton King and the drill, whereas Pedro's playing just straight minor control with rocket. But it is Pedro playing minor control, which is really, really scary. I do love this macro understanding of the matchup by Adriel, though, and just going hyper aggressive.
Yeah, right there, Adriel definitely getting very, very aggressive, but Adriel is having quite a bit of success as well. And a relatively close game right now, but as we head into OT, it just gets so hard to stop these drill plus rockets pushes.
Oh, what a weird game, man. We're literally just gonna see like minor plus rockets for this entire next I would say 2 minutes, but I don't think it'll even last that long. But it's just such a, yeah. This is when you know that they're just playing at different levels than you. And now we finally see, no, never mind. I thought we were gonna see something different, but just another rocket in either direction.
Yeah, it's always kind of fun when you can kind of like turn off your brain. You just know how the rest of this game is going to go. And then it's just like, as one of these players, you're just trying to find that slight advantage. What can you do that your opponent won't be able to pull off? And right here, Adriel, it really just came down to you got too big of a lead too early on, and should be able to take game number 3 here.
So here we go. Game number 4. Adriel hanging on for dear life, but he does have a life to give. Pedro needs to win one more to push this to our upper bracket grand final reset. We'll see if we get there or not.
You know, it's always going to make sense that the player in the winners bracket is going to have, you know, traditionally more success than the player in the lower bracket. But it feels like 90% of the time, the player in the upper bracket is going to be able to win the first set. And so it'll be interesting to finally see a bracket reset. I feel like we get one of these like maybe once a year, but it feels longer than that.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. And this is actually one of the other decks that I was thinking should be run would be Royal Giant, because Royal Giant has been so dominant. We did still have Evo Furnace, and P.E.K.K.A. is out of play. Not that we see a lot of P.E.K.K.A. anyway, but because P.E.K.K.A. and Lumberjack were out of play, Berserker's out of play, all of a sudden you start to see that Royal Giant be just a little bit stronger.
Yeah, and right there, actually pretty massive mistake to miss the bar barrel. I mean, he should be giving up one shot. Instead, with the help of the heal spirit, he's not going to give up any damage whatsoever. But Adriel with a good play with a monk activation. I saw earlier the monk activation on top of the furnace only allowed the furnace to shoot itself twice. Right there, he had the perfect timing, and the furnace shot itself 3 times. So really like that micro coming in from Adriel.
There we go. Great time to use the ability. Waits for the cannon cart. Waits for boss man to go back and come back. I don't know if this is going to work. Kind of? Question mark? That's a really interesting interaction. I still am learning the Goblin Curses interactions. Even though it's been in the game for a minute now, it feels like people are using it so much more now that, like, some things like that moment, you're like, is that the right play? I guess it is.
Yeah, it does a shocking amount of damage to the tower. So I've learned to just kind of throw it down and pray something goes well.
Yeah, and it seems to honestly be working for the most part in the meta right now. Cannon cart opposite lane once the monk's down on the left-hand side. Monk running into this furnace. A little bit of frustration, but we'll take it off the board as the second furnace comes down here for Pedro. A very even game as we're about to get into overtime. No Royal Giants have come down yet.
Right there, really good timing with the Goblin Curse plus the zap, able to spawn and take care of the Evo Furnace. Right there, lightning coming in from Adriel.
Yeah.
Okay, so RG lightning, and still kind of wondering what Pedro's last card is. Triple small spell. I mean,
It feels like it has to be like a ram. Yeah, there we go. I was like, it feels like it has to be either be a battle ram or a ram rider. And ram rider finally comes in. Evo zap to clear a little bit of space, but boss man will get a charge. There we go. Heal spirit to soak it. Does get one hit though. And we are very, very close here. 25:01, 24:56. Ram rider.
Ram Rider defended by the Fisherman plus the E-Wiz. And right there, ability activated, gets 2 shots on top of the Furnace right there. And Fisherman...
might not see the Royal Giant at all this game. It feels like he knows the RG could just give away too much elixir without getting any value out of it. It could turn into a horrible dual lane counter push. So instead, I think he's just going Furnaces where he can. There we go. RG finally comes down. Gonna go opposite lane here to the left-hand side. Should get a shot. And that should actually just sew up the game, because look at what he baited out. The cannon cart and the Furnace for the lightning.
Exactly. I think you're exactly correct, and that he was waiting until triple elixir. I think that's the only time that he was going to be allowed to do that. And all of a sudden, it looks like Adriel has a chance to pull off the reverse sweep. He's obviously going to need to defend for the next 30 seconds. It can always be difficult against any type of Ram Rider deck, but you have E-Wiz, you have Fisherman, you have all the answers that you could possibly need.
Yeah, I mean, that's perfect call there. I mean, that's exactly what I think I was maybe apparently trying to get to, was just, yeah, you can't wait until you have to wait until triple elixir so you can actually get that lightning in on the units that you need. He was already creating a good push on that right-hand side, and then, yeah, between the Fish Boy, the Log, and the E-Wiz, and even the Heal Spirit, which can help with the E-Wiz on defense against that Ram Rider, you've got a great way to just stop any semblance of offense. Beautifully played by Adriel, and here we go. Wall breakers to start for Pedro, already letting me down. Adriel taking the damage, that's lava. Only a lava player would take that much damage to start. Dang it.
Okay. Was Doom the one that ran Lava Giant, or am I... No, Lava Hog or something like that? Okay.
We don't talk about that. Doom and I have moved past that moment. We're friends now. We don't talk about the secret Hog Rider lava play at World Finals.
Okay.
Big shout out to Doom. Big shout out to Doom. Big fan of the guy.
Pedro going to be running... Wow, I cannot believe Empress is actually available to him in game number 5.
Yeah.
Definitely should have been on the radar for Adriel, and Witch going to be able to take out one of the wall breakers, but not both of them. So it looks like we do have Giant Graveyard coming in from Adriel, and Pedro going to be running kind of a wacky wall breakers Empress deck. I have no idea what the next 3 cards are.
The range and the speed on that Empress is so impressive that that Golden Knight was still not able to get off a dash. So Giant GY? No, there's a minor. Maybe it's just classic Giant minor. You know, with Evo Witch, just like we always dreamed it up.
Evo Witch, Evo Valve.
Goes to the wrong side of the bear or of the drill and takes a lot of damage for it.
Yeah, this is honestly a pretty brutal match for Adriel. The minor, it's not going to get enough trip damage. You're kind of looking to make it to double elixir with only being down a little bit. Right here, another wall breakers gets to the tower. Pedro's in total control at this moment.
Yeah, this is one of those like kind of nightmare fuel moments where you're like, I'm in the 5th game of a best of 5 and I picked poorly. We'll see if Adriel can kind of turn this around. I don't really know how he will. The ability to create opposite lane pressure and the fact that he has poison, real tough here.
Yeah, this is a pretty decent push. I like what he did right there. A lot of expenditure coming in from Pedro. Might be able to get split lane action going, and Giant not going to be in front of the Witch, so just a Witch that's completely unutilized. I thought there was a lot of potential before that Witch was allowed to get taken out like that.
It looked like the Witch the middle to the right was also trying to bait out something. This witch will still get some damage. Should get like 2 or 3 shots in. Does get 3. So not completely out of the woodwork yet is Pedro, but definitely in his favor. 2 minutes remaining here in overtime. This could be the final game of the day if Adriel can turn things around. One thing that can do that is a big time. Oh, that's a good connection right there. Oh, the Mighty Miner was just close enough to the spears. I think he can do it now. There it is. Yeah. There it is.
Oh
and
my.
the arrows. And the arrows. The Skellies are on tower. Witch is alive. This is an even game number 5. Pedro just saw his lead go right out the window.
I mean, this is incredible how he's been able to fight back. No Evo Witch in the cycle right now. Mega Minion going to be able to take that out. Arrows need to come out on defense. No arrows. Needs to get the dash. Not going to get the dash. That's going to be tower all the way down. I just don't think there's enough time for Adriel to do anything with this. But we're going to see with that Evo Valve getting a shot.
Great send there. There's the poison coming in. That will do it. Only 157 was remaining beforehand, and we're going to an upper bracket grand finals reset.
You want to send that reaction to your mother, and it's like, look, like this guy reacted, and you know she's gonna say, why? What are we doing here, Mom? You don't get it. He doesn't react.
So here we go. Game number 1, bracket finals number 2. This is the last best of 5 for the whole thing.
Pedro starting out this set with the Evo Wall Breakers. His previous set, he had saved it for game number 5, instead electing to use it right away. Bomb Tower going to be able to get the aggro from the Wall Breakers. They're going to go to the Bomb Tower instead of the tower. So always have to wonder if those are the correct decisions or the incorrect one. Right there, Fire Spirit not going to be able to do the dash properly, but with the help of the snowball, those goblins get a ton of chip damage. Monk crossing the bridge. I would have liked to see the activated ability just a little bit earlier. Beautiful wall breakers. If even one of these makes it to the tower, that would be one of the better interactions I've seen in my entire life. Instead, neither do, but still a very clean defense for 2 Elixir. 132, one thing to recognize when looking at both of these players and the utilization of their Goblin Drills, a lot of these players are going 1 tile to the left, and we see that right there. And the reason why is because you don't want your opponent to be able to predict with a building, have the Goblins all target the building. When you place it 1 tile to the side, they start chipping away at the tower. So that's why you're seeing kind of a new meta with the Goblin Drill placements. Spirit Empress taken out by the minions. Zap on top of the Fire Spirit. That's going to be a Lone Knight on the right side. We see the drill again placed off to the side. Doesn't want to give too much value to the bomb tower. Forces out the Evo Snowball. So Evo Wall Breakers for Evo Snowball. Fair trade from both of these players. Split minions, always a fun interaction to watch. The 2 minions on the right side can be able to clean up the guards incredibly nicely. Will have to go Goblin Hut on top. That's a 5 for 2, and still not really doing anything to the Monk or the Empress. Needs the tower to help out.
Nice lead here. At the moment, not a lot, but still very, very close. Poison coming in, just. I liked it. I'm very happy that I'm seeing both of them playing very calm and
yeah, definitely one of those things where you're not surprised and you can't even be mad at a player to not be able to like reset in time, but both of these players immediately doing so.
Minions plus Knight. Ability going to come in to clean up those minions. Obviously a lot more apparent now that they are ranged instead of long melee, but it did work before.
Hut gonna wake up, take out the Monk, needs to go with a Knight high, and definitely a much needed Evo Snowball.
Yeah.
Minions gonna be able to clean up everything right there, and I like that Pedro's still going multiple lanes, trying to get, you know, just force out mistakes from Adriel.
Yeah, it's always rough when you have to use the Evo Snowball defensively. It hurts just like using the Evo Mortar defensively, but sometimes you just got to do it, man.
And right here, this is going to spell trouble. Not going to be able to defend either of these wall breakers. Bomb tower on top, and a beautiful situation from Adriel just because of a really unlucky timing from Adriel.
Yeah, and the bomb tower coming out is interesting just because we haven't really seen much of the bomb tower at all weekend, and it does just feel like one of those cards, and especially in a best of 5, that you want to keep your best defensive buildings available, and bomb tower is still not bad.
Right there, bit of chip damage. Evo Wallbreaker is going to come down the lane. Miner going to be able to protect one of the wall breakers with the help of the zap, getting the tower down quite low. Pedro needs to figure out something incredibly quickly, but I do not think it's going to happen.
Yep, and there we go. Adriel taking game number 1, game number 2, just behind by 20 seconds or so. Not the end of the world, as we see an Evo Mortar in our second Evo Inferno Dragon on the weekend, I believe. I think we saw one yesterday. I'm seeing one now. It feels like looks of Lava Hound.
Yeah, it's definitely going to depend on the final, the remaining cards for Adriel, but going against Dark Goblin, Spirit Goblins, Goblin Gang, Quick Pressure, it's just, I don't know, it gets weird for both players, so it's going to be really interesting to see how this turns out.
Yeah, as of right now, though, just no good target for that Inferno Dragon, but I guess one part of it is if it stacks up its evolutions, then it could maybe just singe through all these units pretty quickly. But that's a lot to have happen.
Yeah, Pedro with quick reaction time, going to be able to protect his mortar, get 2 shots from it. Adriel also reacting relatively quickly, so 2 shots isn't the end of the world, and double elixir on its way in about 30 seconds.
Dark Goblin up high, clean up the minions, going to come around the bend there and deal with the, doesn't even need to, still in range, now deals with the Gob Brawler. Man, I just have no idea how a real offense is going to be put together here from Adriel. I really don't. I mean, maybe the Evo cage is better to not have because I don't know what unit you're trying to pull in, but I don't think the Inferno Dragon actually does you any favors in that sense.
Yeah, but he does have a 3 elixir lead, and Evo Gob Cage out of cycle. Yo,
just looking for the positives, man. I respect it.
So, definitely still has an opportunity. But yeah, I mean, there goes the lead that he had. It feels like...
You're like, it's clear he owns a TV, which is great. I love television. I can see it there in the background.
And Skeleton King as well, so even more trouble.
Dark Goblin gonna allow that to connect, but not really doing work. Sets up a good pusher on the left-hand side. I'd love to see Skelly Barrel pop in front of that, but instead catches with the gang. Now can go Skelly Barrel opposite lane if he wants, but instead decides to use the ability and use some spears.
Cage gonna be able to defend relatively nicely. Going to be able to pop out before the Evo Gob Cage can, before the Evo Mortar can lock onto the tower. Still plays the Valk down as well. But yeah, he's just struggling so much to defend this. Yes, he can get the cage out in time, but no, it's really not going to matter.
Yeah, right. Now he has to deal with this barrel, so he just has to drop his Valkyrie back on the ground. That's another Skeleton King ability coming in. That's a splash from the mortar on tower. One of those spears, 2 of those spears, all the spears reconnect. There's the next hit on tower. No win con coming out here for Adriel. A brutal on their faces. You can see that Pedro's feeling himself just a little bit more.
So Pedro could be Hog after seeing the Ice Spirit plus the Firecracker. On the opposite end, Adriel Zerker plus Bomber. We could see Goblin Giant, but after seeing the Tesla, maybe the Drill Rocket deck that we had seen earlier, I think in the previous set.
And there's the Drill. Ice Spirit for the Skellies. More Skellies for the Ice Spirit. Now you want to look at it, log the cleanup.
You know, the evolution of the placement of Goblin Drills, it
Yeah.
felt like it was about time. I was kind of surprised that there. I mean, it's been out in the game for a year, 2 years, whatever it is. It felt like people are finally, like, it feels like people are finally starting to understand how they should be playing it.
Yeah, the variability of the placement on it is really nice. It also keeps your opponent guessing of where they need to play their troops. I actually really love the super deep goblin barrel in the corner that because people are so used to defending up high that sometimes units will just walk away completely and then they have to spend another one. So yeah, I agree. I think the evolution of placement on goblin barrel is something that's really interesting, and I'm glad that it happened. It's just fascinating that it like took so long for it to happen.
Yeah. And as we are 20 seconds away, a beautiful prediction right there from Adriel. Oh my goodness, gorgeous prediction. Wow. And you're gonna get, you're gonna force out skeletons. I mean, that's, you know, one of those plays of the game, plays of the day, really. And I mean, that's the difference between taking 900 damage and then forcing out extra elixir. Wow.
Absolutely. 4 elixir advantage there. Decides to use 2 of it on the Berserker because the boss bandit was out of cycle, so he's not actually able to put in a good push. So kind of unfortunate cycle-wise, but I still like the idea of how he's using the advantage to his favor, even if he's not going to get much out of it. Does get a little bit of poison damage, does maybe mess up the cycle, and should get a King Tower activation. So at the end of the day, all things kind of fell into place nicely there for Adriel.
Yeah, really good spot. Drill placed off-centered. One of the goblins going to be able to almost 1v3 the skeletons instead of the final third Larry. Going to be able to take it out, and Evo Tesla over the middle to take out the heart.
Some in the chat saying, are these guys noobs? Why aren't they playing Mega Knight at the bridge first play? Couldn't agree more. Would love to see it as a knight goes down. Gosh, that ability is just so annoying when played well. You can see right there, just that boss bandit has been on the board forever. And that is a big reason why we're able to see Adriel get some decent damage in. Another drill in as that same boss bandit's still on the board. And again, this is like massive amounts of damage, but you don't need massive amounts of damage. A goblin stab here, goblin stab there, that's all you really want.
Yeah, as long as you're able to protect from the Firecracker, you will be able to win. But obviously that's way easier said than done, and there's so many different opportunities for Pedro to do something, and right there, can he get it out on time without taking any damage? He does.
Wow. And he defends the hog in the opposite lane and keeps the boss bandit healthy. Another hog comes down. There's the Firecracker high. Late snowball and the Ice Spirit. Absolutely beautiful, Josh.
And right there, boss bandit on the left side, getting the left tower down. Log out of cycle. That's going to be a bomber on top of the tower, plus the goblins, plus the Berserker. Adriel taking game 3.
Let's go.
I mean, I love what I'm seeing from Pedro. Use one of the best cards in the game. You need a win. You need to play one of your best decks, your strongest decks. I think Furnace. This is actually a perfect deck in my opinion. And he's going to go Furnace, Monk, plus what I thought was going to be Archie.
Right? Is it still going to be? We saw Ewiz with RG a lot yesterday.
Okay, so it is still going to be RG.
And high fish boy to pull, and that's some dangerous placement, but you love to see it because that's the confidence that you need right now from Adriel. Late fish boy, high pull, late gob hut, no damage taken.
So,
excuse me, one shot from the RG went in.
Definitely going to be a pretty big difference for how these defenses are set up. The difference between having the Monk and the Fisherman and the Skeleton King, and all of those are going to add up quickly. And so Wizard, Skeleton King, Goblin Hut should be able to put in a lot of work, but I feel like it's just going to overwhelm him at some point.
Adriel having Fireball is such a bummer right now for him, because if he had Lightning, this would really help with the Ewiz and the Evo Furnace. It's so interesting because it just feels like there's so much more utility on Pedro's side of the board with the Monk and the Ewiz and the Furnace, whereas on Adriel's side of the board, it just looks a little bit heavier, like downhill push, you know, like I need the Skeleton King and the RG with the Fish Boy and Evo Wizard behind. It doesn't feel quite as synergistic. We'll find out. Here we go. 1 minute just ticking by, only 50 seconds remaining here in regulation. Those Spear Goblins doing a good job.
Cleaning up everything quite nicely. Fisherman in the middle, yanking away for Pedro. Another Goblin Hunt put down on the map. Fisherman going to try and fish slap, trying to yank the monk away. Not going to happen. And this is where it is. I mean, this is exactly what we expected. It's so difficult to really stop these pushes from Pedro.
And looking like a push to come down the right-hand lane here. There's the fish blower. Evo Wiz, Fireball Plus, going to clean both those up. And just like what we were talking about, there's very little utility to support Adriel's pushes, whereas you look on the other side of it, feels like there's just so much more for Pedro.
Right here, should activate the ability. He does. The monk is going to get the reflection twice on top of the tower. The fisherman's going to yank the monk instead of the RG. Going to be able to protect the RG as well with the help of the E-Spirit plus for the furnace. I mean, perfection.
Yeah, and you know, the thing that's really calling out to me here, AC, is looking at the Skeleton King in this deck instead of the Monk makes me think, is Adriel trying to save the Monk for, I don't know, Hog with Monk or Balloon with Monk? There's got to be some other place where he's expecting to use that Monk, because there's no reason not to use it in this deck.
Yeah, and which is something I really don't like. I don't think you should be able to predict that for the game number 5. I think it definitely comes down to it was a pretty big mistake, and one that gives Pedro all the momentum in the world.
Fireball coming in, gonna hit the hut, and the Lizard. Tower goes down. Once again, here we are. Best of 5, game 5 in the game. Just like a best of the 5 upper bracket reset, we see Cannoneer top of your screen. Will we see Mortar here in the final game? I don't know. We already saw Skeleton King, so maybe not. There's Evo Furnace. Bomber coming out, bottom of your screen here, and a Spirit Empress. Something that Pedro has done in both best of 5s is keep that Spirit Empress for the final game.
So Zappy's recognizing that he's going to have the Empress, and on the flip side, Pedro recognizing that he's going to recognize it and running the Golden Knight as well. I love this back and forth between these two players, and Pedro also going to be running the Golden Knight.
And that Spirit Empress does end up taking out the Dark Goblin with the help of the Zap. Don't know if it would have done otherwise. It does one-shot it, but wanted to make sure. Was Pedro down 2 elixir as a Oh! Okay. My hands are up in the air. I'm smiling.
Yeah. I'm just trying to gauge Pedro's reaction and to see if he looks frustrated, if he looks okay with it.
It was kind of a non-reaction. I was doing the same thing. Okay, that's it right there. That must be part of the conversation of why he feels okay about it, is because he can minor zap. But, ooh, I don't love that. Tough barrel to pick, where you all go one side and then cleaned up by a bomber for a -1 trade. And the connection there. So here we go. Another elixir pump comes down. Always thinking about the miner. Miner's the only way to get there. Miner plus zap. So probably want to defend it with zappies or Golden Knight.
Yeah, you do have the opportunity to split the zappies kind of just in front of the pump, and you should always be able to defend it pretty well and proper. Right there, Dark Goblin going to be able to take it out fully, but Miner gets the damage it needed, and Pedro going to be forced out a cannon, and takes a little bit of chip damage, but pretty solid defense.
Yeah, pretty solid defense. Golden Knight coming down this lane with a bomber in tow. Decides not to use the ability. Okay. And Miner goes to the back of the tower, so now he should be able to get a free pump down. Elixir pump. Okay.
Yeah, and we should see zappies over the middle. Golden Knight high potentially. No, gonna go Furnace. And I like that. You're kind of okay with allowing him to get those dashes, but Pedro.
Oh! The miner to take out the Furnace with the curse allows the Spirit Empress to get on top of the tower. And right now, Adriel having a really hard time making this deck come together.
Yeah, it feels like it should get more value than it actually is. Berserker plus the Bomber gonna get a lot of value, but not nearly enough. And I mean, it's just like Pedro just dominating at this moment in time.
I feel like Adriel needs to get another pump down. He's got 100 seconds. He's got enough time to get another pump down and create a real push here, but he's not doing it. And the Miner's been out of cycle numerous times. He's got to figure out a way to use that 8th card to his advantage instead of just being a fun idea.
Yeah, and the Zappies do protect the Dark Goblin in time. That's going to be a curse on top of a bunch of Goblins. So really unfortunate interaction right there for Adriel to get that kind of timing. And it's a little bit of chip damage. Fire Spirit going to be able to splash onto the tower. And 7 seconds away from triple OT.
That's right, OT coming in right now. No time to get a pump down in triple OT. For you guys that play at home, triple elixir pumps are not really the vibe. It's just too easy to make up the elixir that it takes to take them off the board. Drill goes into the left, excuse me, Barrel goes into the left-hand side. Not enough damage there. Good push coming in here on the right. And Miner up high. That Dark Goblin Evo Zap comes in. Great Evo Zap there from Pedro. Good cleanup on the left. AC, is there any way to break through?
You know, if there is, he's going to find it. He's stacking beautifully. He's setting up the correct pushes, getting himself a lot of offensive pressure. We're going to see an Evo Cannon be forced out, and that's going to be Goblins on top of the tower, forces out the Zap. We've got Fire Spirits trying to jump, trying to make those jumps.
15 seconds remain. Obviously, those Goblins not doing as much damage out of the fake barrel anymore. Miner goes to the back. There's the Dark Goblin to catch. Curse comes in, plus the Zap to turn it into a Goblin. Barrel comes in on the left-hand side. Is it enough?
Needs to try and get
Zap
the prediction.
Did he get it? I can't see the.
Yo,
I think he
Adriel
got
gets it.
He got it.
Yo.
He gets it. He wins it. You can see by the celebration. Adriel takes game number 5. My goodness, what a time for our vision to go blurred to not be able to see the tower HP. He wins by 44 HP and takes the golden ticket. My God,